Austria is a country in Central Europe that sits between Germany and Italy. Austria is probably most known for The Sound of Music and Lederhosen, and just to clarify, Austria does not have kangaroos. My name is Alex Gruber, and I'm going to be talking to you about Austria. I believe it is a country that is not as well known as some of the other countries around it, but I think it is just as interesting, if not more than the others. Austria is definitely one of my favorite places to go. My whole life has been filled with the culture of Austria, and I was lucky enough to go there as a child, and again, last year with my fiancé. My dad was born and raised in a small town near Graz called Kapfenberg. He lived there until he was 20, and his side of the family still lives there. Besides the amazing knowledge of my father and his family, visiting Austria gave me first-hand knowledge of parts of the country, as well as my music appreciation class and sources on the internet. More specifically, I am going to be talking to you about the food and music in Austria and how those things have made an impression and are similar to the food and music in America. Eating meals in Austria is more of a sport than it is a time to eat food. In Austria, it is considered rude to not finish your meals, yet no one ever asks you how much food you want. Going over to Austria and not being able to speak the language made it even more difficult. Thankfully, my dad was there most of the time. The food over there is amazing, but it is very heavy. The meals are bigger, you have them about 5 times a day, and Wiener Schnitzel, which is breaded and fried veal, is usually a part of all of them. Besides the amount of food given and how often it is eaten, there are a lot of similarities between the food eaten in Austria and the food eaten in America. For example, over here we eat meatloaf, and over there is a dish called cevapcici, which are smaller and rolled into stick form. At parties in America, you might find deli trays, and in Austria you will find small, open-faced sandwiches. They are usually on rye bread, have salami or some other cured deli meat, a hard-boiled egg, a sweet pickle, and a mound of horseradish. Another example would be the hot dog. Here, we get a ballpark frank, put it in a hot dog bun, and put whatever condiments you would like on it. In Austria, you would go to a stand on the street and would get a long baguette roll that is hollowed out, and they would put the sausage in it with some spicy mustard or ketchup. Now, even though there are these similarities, it is very easy to miss real American food while over there. Everywhere you go in Austria, a restaurant, a tourist shop, or a local shop, you will see pictures of the famous and very influential composers that came from Austria. I learned more about the famous composers from Austria in my music appreciation course I took last year, and was very surprised at how many of them came from there. Austria has been the birthplace of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Joseph Haydn, Franz Schubert, and my favorite, my relative, Franz Xavier Gruber. These composers influenced every composer that came after them, and were so influential that anybody who takes a music class will hear their names and, more importantly, their music. Now, if I might brag for a second, Franz Xavier Gruber, my 5th grade grandpa or something, wrote Silent Night, or Stille Nacht, with Joseph Moore in 1816. That song is now one of the most popular Christmas songs. According to census documents, 1.1 million Austrians came over to the United States between 1850 and 1910. The German-speaking Austrians that came over from Austria brought their cultures like music and food with them, and those things were able to mix into the culture of the United States. Now, in places all over the United States, you will find Austrian-related things. For example, in Lawton, Oklahoma, there is an Austrian grocery store, and in Moore, Oklahoma, there is an Austrian restaurant. Those are just 2 examples in Oklahoma of how the Austrian culture has made its way to America. As you can see, America is a place of many different cultures, but it is an amazing thing to experience the other cultures firsthand. Last year when I was able to see Austria and understand more of their culture, it made me appreciate everything I had here, but it also made me see what they have over there. Now that you know a couple of things about Austria, maybe this will make you want to learn more about it. And if you ever get the amazing opportunity to visit, I'm sure you will never want to eat Wiener Schnitzel.